Multiple sclerosis affects nearly 3 million people worldwide, yet many current treatments still primarily focus on controlling the immune system rather than directly addressing the damage happening to nerve fibers themselves. That's where Quantum BioPharma is attempting to take a different approach. The company's lead drug candidate, Lucid MS, is being developed as a first in class treatment targeting mechanisms associated with the demyelination in multiple sclerosis. We'll talk about that in a minute. Now, the company has announced a major milestone along scientists at Massachusetts General Hospital, reaching the halfway point in a groundbreaking imaging study designed to directly track myelin damage in multiple sclerosis patients. At the same time, the company's already submitted its application to the FDA for a planned phase 2 clinical trial, strengthen its balance sheet, reduce its cash burn by more than 60%, and extended its operational runway to 2027. Today, to talk about all that is Zeeshan and Anthony. Gentlemen, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Josh, for having us.
Hey, glad to have you because this is great. This is a great milestone. I'm gonna read the milestone. A significant milestone in its collaborative study with Massachusetts General Hospital. Patient enrollment has reached the halfway mark, accompanied by encouraging preliminary imaging results. So, for people hearing about this for the first time, and even for your current shareholders, what does that mean in layman's terms? What's the big takeaway that the rest of us should be understanding?
So I guess, Anthony, you want me to go?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So look, the conventional ways of measuring myelin or demyelination in patients is basically through MRI studies. Although those studies have advanced significantly now, and there are some advanced techniques to measure the degradation or myelin to reappear, haven't been improving in MRIs, but this is a PET scan, which is way advanced than any MRI machine, right? So what the scientists have done in Harvard University scientists, develop a special kind of like a marker that attaches to the myelin sheath and especially patients and then through the PET scan study see more in detail what's the status of myelin in patients than your conventional MRIs. Let's put it that way. So this is a um, new marker that the scientist has developed is showing great progress to measure myelin in a nutshell. That's what's happening.
And it's not just you guys saying this, but the quote from Dr. Pedro Brugueroles, Brugueroles, sorry, he said, the ability to directly quantify these lesions with intact axons in vivo represents an important unmet need in multiple sclerosis research. Even though I don't understand the complete science about what he just said, the fact is he's the guy at MGH, and he's saying this represents an important unmet need in multiple sclerosis research. Anthony, give us some context on the doctor's third party testimony about how important this is.
It's important. It just provides people with a lot more detailed information, so that ends up being better information. And when you're looking at, trying to see what's happening or the changes that are happening in something like myelin, which up to date has been challenging to say the least, to be able to get detailed information because it happens on such a small level.
Also, George, in diseases like multiple sclerosis and also other neurodegenerative diseases, the endpoints or the outcomes to measure where the clinical markers are something like how many stairs the guy can go up and down in a certain number of times. So those are the measures which are not very accurate, by the way, for everybody, but industry standard. So with these technologies advancing, it will be easier to quantify and get more accurate results, right? You can imagine the difference from going up and down stairs measurement to a where you can see exactly how much myelin is reappeared or degraded. So
It's almost
that's
like the
the
jump that was made from X-ray to MRI, right? There was a time when X-rays were
exactly.
the standard, and there was George's, X-ray, and you saw stuff, and that was pretty neat. But then MRI came along, like, whoa. So is that the same kind of jump, Anthony? Now that you guys are going, is that the next level of jump that you guys are kind of
But also
accomplishing with it?
think of like how microscopes evolved and eventually people, started seeing this, one aspect that you could zone in 100 times, then you could zone in 1,000 times, then 1,000,000 times, then you got to the point where you could actually see atoms. So it's, I think, similar to that if you want to sort of have a comparable. In this case, this will be helpful or should be very helpful to doctors and the medical community and researchers.
I've always said in the small cap world, third party validation is everything. Because look, at the end of the day, whether you're drilling for gold or you got some new AI platform, or in case of you guys as a biopharma trying to solve multiple sclerosis, 99.9% of us can't really evaluate, and we all almost have to take word of the management team, right? But in this case, third party validation, right? Somebody else that says your baby is a beautiful baby. It's not just daddy calling it. That's Massachusetts General Hospital. How important is the partnership with them? And not just from a functional point of view, I got to imagine that got to imagine it's huge, but for the credibility of what you guys are trying to accomplish and what you've accomplished so far.
Look, just the fact that they have partnered with us for this study speaks on the credibility and how much they feel that a molecule like what we have can benefit the MS society. Mass General Hospital has a big MS population under their, the doctor there sees a lot of MS patients. So they're pretty excited about the molecule. Um, PET scans are generally like 10 times more accurate than MRI scans, right? Having said that, it's still not, it's a new thing. So any new thing has to be approved by FDA as a biomarker or a standard to measure anything. So let's see how these studies go. We're at the midway mark. When the study is done, we'll see how much difference it is as compared to what MRIs show, and then we may go and apply with FDA to consider it as a biomarker, and that would be huge. By the way, I think I'm not like I can't recall, but one of the ways Biogen, I believe it was Biogen, got an Alzheimer's drug approved was through a similar method. We got a biomarker standard approved through these kind of studies, and then they were able to kind of get a Alzheimer's drug in. Correct me.
Anthony, what's the ETA, Anthony, on okay, let's see, because Zeeshan's saying I like the fact that he's being cautiously optimistic, which is great. What's the ETA? Like, how long should shareholders now be holding their breath to get, the confirmation that this imaging is in fact superior to what's been the status quo?
I'll leave that to Zishan.
Look, so let me make it clear. This imaging does not affect our progress that we are making in the phase 2 trial. We have the MRI techniques, advanced MRI techniques now that are approved by FDA to measure endpoints and progress in if myelin is appearing or degrading. Will continue on our path of the phase 2, which we have filed the IND for. This is a study on the side that we're doing in partnership with Harvard. If it brings great results and it's halfway there, so if you're talking about timelines, then we're talking about another 6 months to complete the next half. So once we see there's a significant difference in how you can measure the progress of myelin degradation or remyelination, we then may want to go to FDA and say, we would like to suggest to these are the results, and we would like to suggest to make this one of your standards in measuring endpoints, right? So these are two separate things. It's a very
Yep.
important study, but has no effect on the progress of our phase 2 trial at the moment.
So let's talk about that. You've submitted your IND application to the FDA this year. Where exactly does the phase 2 program stand right now?
So we did submit the IND application on 30th of March. We got a letter from FDA. It's kind of a whole letter that wait for our comments and will come up with whatever deficiencies we feel are with the application. Or, for example, there was a 90-day study, toxicology study, that was not completed when we submitted the application. So that's complete now. We have the send data sets and other things they may write about. They had some concerns about safety. They wanted to see some more studies out there when this molecule is going to be taken with the current therapies that the MS patients are taking, stuff like that. It's a normal thing. So if you want me to give you timelines, I think we're going to get
Ballpark. I'm not going to hold you.
ballpark
I'm not going to pin
timelines
you to it. I'm
are
not going to pin you to a date.
yeah. So we may get we should, because it's a 30-day time limit. We are expecting to get a letter from FDA by the end of next week latest, if not before that. We should be able to address, according to the internal team and the CRO that we have hired to do this, in 10-15 days. And then if FDA has no further comments and we have satisfied all their queries, then, if 30 days pass, it's like FDA has given us clearance kind of thing, as accepted that our answers are satisfying and we may move forward with the phase 2.
Question.
So
Oh,
between 45 to 60 days. 35 to 60, it can extend if we get more queries. Let's put it that. But that's where we are.
all right, and that's great. Now at least we know, hey, sometime next couple months that's all I want. 45, 6 days. That's share just to give shareholders because we don't know the process, right? Devil's advocate question for you guys, Anthony, maybe you, maybe Zeeshan. You can't turn on the TV or surf online in the finance world without hearing about AI 25 times a day. And you may have investors at home right now saying, okay, guys, this is great, but phase 2 and phase 3 sometimes takes a lot of time. Why are you guys using AI to speed this up? Are you guys using AI right now? And if so, how are you guys using it? And maybe how are you not able to use it?
So it's a myth that you can speed it up right now. For example, it's a myth in a way that, let's say we bring the most powerful AI and it does calculations and it says, it's going to be fine. You guys are going to be successful. Efficacy signal chances are 40 to 50% will be this much. Chances of it failing will be this much. That's how AI will calculate, by the way. It won't give you, yes, it's going to pass. 70-80% chances of you successful, 40-50% failing. What's going to change? We'll have to go through the same procedures. It's good to get AI models evaluate something when I think you're going to look at an acquisition. Okay? To evaluate, okay, I'm going to make this 20 million, 20 million, whatever, $100 million acquisition. Let me go to these AI models to give me some kind of comfort. So it doesn't say, okay, look, guys, 90% of the mechanism of action from what I see and my calculations and the data out there, it may fail. Then AI may serve you. But think about it logically. If AI says, oh, it's 100% good, do you think FDA would let us give the molecule to anyone will have to go through this whole process anyways. So that's
Yeah,
reason.
AI moves slowly when it comes to drug development and treatment development with the FDA. It's okay, and I'm glad you answered that because you might have investors saying, "Hey guys, use AI and just speed this up," because I use AI to do something and it's 100 times. It's a Anthony. Question for you. Usually, sometimes when companies get to your stage of development here, you start having bigger companies maybe poking around, maybe asking questions, maybe thinking about is that too early yet? But I just want to throw it out there because I know sometimes at this stage you do get bigger pharma established companies who say, "Hey,
Yeah,
let's talk."
we can't comment under NDAs, so it's a question that we can't really answer, because
All right.
Generally, George, look, companies do, like Anthony says, we can't take the names they approach us, but generally, I'll tell you, um, and it will happen by late 2027, okay, when the data for the second phase starts coming and it's good, that's when the big boys may start stirring up the interest. Yeah, we have companies already speaking to us, but we can't take the names but that's for to answer your question, that's the stage where really all that happens.
and George, remember, like lucid MS, right, is trying to address a completely unmet need today for people that suffer from MS, right? We're trying to help people who have lost control or mobility of their bodies to repair that and get it back. And there's nothing today, drugs or therapies, that satisfy that need. And that's why we get so many incoming calls from people that have MS from all over the world asking about what's happening, asking if they can, join the trial. You can see the need is there. And this, we're hoping would be a life-changing, you know, drug that would be helpful to millions of people.
And that's why you guys are almost like a double bonus kind of company for shareholders because on the one hand, you're able to help the world. You're able to help a lot of people around the world. At the same time, hopefully, you're also able to generate great value for the shareholders. Anthony, how big of a market are you guys trying to address? I think that's important for in shareholders and potential investors to know that if everything goes well, how big of a market might you be able to go after?
It's massive. I think in our last news release or the one before, we did quote, the market in 2030. They're expecting an MS to be over $30 billion. These are massive markets, and this is, this is the type of drug that someone would have to take for the rest of their life. Um,
So, let me elaborate on that. Yeah, that is really the market is growing exponentially, but
It's too
we
bad, but someone's got
we
to address
gave
it.
we we spent some serious money on getting a feasibility, or they call it commercial commercialability report by a company called Eversana. It's a 180-page report. They went not just in North America, they went to Europe, they went to Japan, and they went to first the patients. This is the kind of drug, this mechanism of action, orally will you take it? Then they went to doctors. They said, will you give it to your patients? If this is what this drug can do, and this is its mechanism of action, and they showed them everything. And then on top of that, they went to KOLs and they also asked them. So they went all over the world through their contacts that they have established as offices in. And then they went to, on top of that, insurance agents. And they said, if this is what's happening and people are taking, will you also insure this drug? Based on all those things and their own um, clinical guys evaluating the potential of this drug, um, in their report, our first year sales is $160 million, conservative. Third, fourth year sale is 4 to 5 billion, conservative. Um, so it's a blockbuster drug. It's a drug that you have to take orally. First of all, oral drugs are the most sort of. And then you gotta kind of, it's like, like you take in diabetic or blood pressure medicine, you gotta keep taking it. So the potential is unlimited. If the sales are 4 or 5 billion conservatively in the third, fourth year, then you can calculate the what the market valuation should be of this company at that time. Hopefully this works.
Well, listen, hopefully it works for
I'm
people.
confident it will work. I believe it will work.
Hopefully it's going to work for people first and foremost, because anytime you can help people suffering, I think that's just an outstanding thing to do as humans for other people. But obviously all of us are investors as well, and we're hoping to translate that success also into financial success. And speaking of that, because Anthony, I know you don't have too much time, I want to talk about the finances of the company, and that you guys did some really great things on the income statement side. You reduced your cash burn significantly. And on the balance sheet side, you guys really beefed up your strength. And that's so critical for pre-revenue companies like you guys right now. How are you guys able to pull that off, Anthony? If you can just give us, we don't have to spend a ton, we don't do an accounting audit here, but I'm
Yeah,
sure investors would love to hear how'd you,
it's,
that's two levers at once. That's fantastic.
well, strategy and Zeeshan and the team. I mean, we have an amazing team that works together very, very well. It's between the science and the finance teams. We have a company that really gels exceptionally well, and I think that's part of the success that we've had to date. We're excited. We're hoping that Unbuzzed is going to go public later this year, and that may also open up a non-dilutive source of cash for us as well.
Do you got a minute to talk about Unbuzz, just to give everyone maybe a bit of a status as to its potential, potential IPO?
Yes, yeah. They have filed a listing statement with the CSE. We are very hopeful. It's going to be direct, so we're hopeful that this should be trading by the second half of this year.
That's
We're
fantastic,
we're also, I mean,
guys.
we're also hopeful on the product side. The product itself still has incredible feedback. I use the product, whether it's with alcohol or without alcohol, because I find that, sometimes instead of having a coffee, I'll do an unbuzzed. I find it's a healthier version.
I should probably know the answer to this question, but if I want to try Unbuzz right now, how do I go about doing that? If shareholders want to give it a shot, how do they go about doing that?
They can go to the Unbuzzed website or Amazon in the USA, or contact us, and we'll make sure we get
Anthony
it
will
to you.
get you some samples, George.
Yeah,
There are
we'll send them to you.
no problem.
All right. As soon as we're off air, I'll send you my details, address or whatever, and I'd love
Please.
I'd love to get my hands on that. Guys, last word to you, because there's so much more we can talk about. But we're going on 24 minutes right now, and I'm not even going to bring up. We'll save it for another time what the progress is with the lawsuit, unless Zishan, you want to give us a 1 or 2 minute or there. But uh,
Look,
if not, last words,
we're,
or give us both a status report on this
let's have
lawsuit
a
and
call,
the
but we'll have another call. But let me give you a very high level view of where. So we've won the motion to dismiss, which is a great step. We're heading into discovery. As you know, a big, huge firm, number one out of New York, has also filed a class action on behalf of Quantum shareholders. These are like giants. These are the guys who recovered 14.7 from billion from Volvo, 3.7 billion from Pfizer, 1.5 billion here, 1 billion from the Bank of Scotland, and several settlements like that. So they want us now to conjoin our case with the class, become the lead plaintiff. So both the case are going to be conjoined. We are happy
nice.
because now you have, before it was David versus Goliath, now you'll have Goliath fighting Goliath. So we are happy. We'll talk
I
about it
love
in
that.
detail another time where I can go through what transpired, what we have, what are the specifics of the case. But um, I guess the time has expired for this interview. But that's the high
Well,
level.
given the fact that I personally did all the interviews with dozens of Quantum BioPharma
Yes.
shareholders who have been hurt by this alleged, alleged practice. I ended all my interviews with them saying, I pray and I can't wait to have you back on the other side of this with a victory, with some money back in your pocket, and then with a company unencumbered by short sellers to be able to achieve its true promise that it was capable of from day one. So on that note, guys, you got our support. Obviously, I think I speak on behalf of 98% of your shareholders. We appreciate how far you brought Lucid MS, Unbuzzed, what you're doing with the lawsuit, how you're taking care of the books on the income side and on the balance sheet side. You guys have knocked out of the park, and we all really appreciate that. Can't wait to have you back on next time. But until then, guys, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, George.
Appreciate it.
And
Thank
for
Bye-bye.
you.
everybody at home, thanks for joining us. Hope you're watching us on YouTube. If you can't, put us on Spotify while you're driving the car or taking a walk. For those you discovered Quantum BioPharma, get over the website, do some more deep dive due diligence, watch some of the previous interviews we've done, and hopefully today you discover your next amazing small cap company. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. See you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.